The rain came down in cold sheets over the city of Shanghai, casting a steel-gray sheen over the glass buildings. Beneath the glow of traffic lights, people hurried past, umbrellas clashing in the rush. In a narrow dormitory room near Tongji University, Zhang Wei sat with his laptop open, eyes scanning lines of code. His bed was unmade, instant noodles scattered nearby, and a single fan buzzed overhead. Zhang Wei was not like the other students. He saw patterns where others saw problems. While most worried about midterm exams, Zhang was occupied with something entirely different: the new cashless payment system in the campus canteen. A sleek QR-based app that promised speed, safety, and transparency. Except, Zhang had found a flaw. That morning, he had watched carefully as the queue of students scanned their codes, paid, and walked away with trays of rice, pork, and green vegetables. The cashier barely glanced at the screen. All trust. All automation. No one checked anything. Later that evening, in his room, Zhang replicated the university's QR code system. Not to break it, just to test. He generated a dummy code with a fixed value of 0, masking it to look like a regular student payment. The next day, he joined the lunch line, heart steady. When his turn came, he smiled, held out his phone, and beep. The cashier nodded him on. It worked. A free lunch. No alarms. No suspicion. Just one clean scan. That night, Zhang stared at his ceiling, wide awake. It had not been about the food. It was about the idea. Systems could be perfect in theory, but if no one checks, the illusion becomes the truth. He started collecting data. Over 2 weeks, he used different dummy codes, testing variations. He never took more than 1 meal per day. He logged everything in a hidden file: the numbers, the method, the response time, or lack thereof. For Zhang, this was not theft. It was a live experiment, a study in system vulnerabilities, one he had not shared with anyone. But he was not as invisible as he thought. Lin Meiyu, the senior cashier at the canteen, had been working there for nearly 15 years. She had seen students try all kinds of tricks: fake receipts, false excuses, borrowed accounts. But this time was different. There was no trail, no complaint. Yet something did not add up. Meiyu started watching the queue more closely. She noticed Zhang's face. Quiet, polite, always came alone. Never used a student card. Only that phone. She began logging the times he came. Cross-checked them against the transaction records. No payment. None. Her fingers tightened around her pen. But Meiyu was not in a hurry to report him. She wanted to know more. Days passed. Rain gave way to an early spring sun, and cherry blossoms began to bloom along the campus walkways. But Zhang Wei's routine did not change. Every afternoon, just before 1 o'clock, he appeared at the canteen entrance with his phone in hand. Same calm expression. Same quiet nod. Same silent transaction. But now Lin Meiyu was watching. She did not stand at her usual spot behind the register. Instead, she took a position near the self-service trays, pretending to arrange chopsticks or refill soup ladles. All the while, her eyes followed Zhang. She observed the way he avoided small talk, how he never looked at the screen after scanning, how the staff never questioned him. A ghost in daylight. Meiyu began to document everything. The time he arrived, the phone model he used, even the code on his screen, captured discreetly with her own mobile as she stirred a pot of tofu broth nearby. She showed it later to her nephew, a part-time developer. It is not connected to the school's payment server, he said after checking the code. It is a static redirect. Brilliant, actually. But also illegal. Meiyu tapped her fingers against the table. She could report him, have him suspended, possibly expelled. But the more she thought about it, the more she hesitated. There was something about Zhang Wei's behavior that did not match that of a thief. He was methodical, careful, not greedy. There was precision in his repetition. So, she made a decision. The next afternoon, as Zhang approached the payment scanner, Meiyu stepped into his path. "Excuse me, student," she said, softly but firmly. "May I speak with you a moment?" Zhang froze. His hand holding the phone trembled, just slightly. I have seen your code, Mayu continued. And I know what it does. You do not need to lie. For a moment, there was silence. The canteen buzzed with trays clattering, students chatting, and the scent of sesame oil in the air. Zhang looked around. No one was watching them. No security. No raised voices. Then he spoke. I was not stealing, he said, voice steady. I was testing the system. I kept a log. I can show you everything. I believe you, Mayu replied. Zhang blinked. He had expected confrontation, even punishment. But her tone held no anger, only curiosity. Let me ask you something, she said. If you are so clever, why not do something useful with it? Zhang lowered his phone. What do you mean? There are students who cannot afford to eat every day, Mayu said. If you are going to beat the system, perhaps you can help someone else with it. Zhang did not reply. But that night, he did not sleep. The next day, everything changed. The following morning, Zhang Wei arrived at the canteen not with a single plan, but with 5. He had stayed up all night building a modified version of his dummy code. This time, it included a payment trail, still fake but diversified. Each code, instead of 0, would simulate a small, irregular amount. 1 yuan, 2 yuan, occasionally 3. Enough to mimic a discount, not a theft. He created 10 of these codes and labeled them quietly. Support line 1, support line 2, all the way to support line 10. At lunchtime, Zhang stood near the back wall, sipping warm soy milk. He watched the queues. Students shuffled forward with tired eyes and empty wallets. Some hesitated before reaching for their phones. Others frowned at the rising food prices pinned behind the counter. Zhang approached one of them, a quiet girl with thick glasses and a faded backpack. Excuse me, he said. You dropped this. She blinked. Dropped what? He handed her a folded slip of paper with a QR code printed on it. Just try it, he said, then walked away before she could reply. He did it again with another student, then a third. By the end of the week, 7 students had unknowingly used Zhang's codes. No one had been stopped. No questions asked. And Zhang had watched each one of them leave with a proper meal and a face of quiet relief. It was not charity. It was a test. Could he build a shadow system within a system? But he also knew it could not last. 2 days later, Zhang received a message on his student app. It was not from university staff, but from Lin Mayu. The message read, "Come to the back office. I made tea." Zhang hesitated. Then he went. Lin Mayu's office was smaller than Zhang had expected. Just a desk, a kettle, 2 chairs, and a half-used fan sitting motionless by the window. But the tea was warm, the air heavy with jasmine. I saw what you did, Mayu said, pouring him a cup. Zhang sat quietly, his hands resting in his lap. I do not care that it was clever. I care that it was brave, she said. But brave does not mean safe. She slid a manila folder across the desk. Inside were screenshots, dozens of them, payment records, transaction gaps, photographs of QR codes, even timestamps. I have been tracking this for weeks, she added. Not to stop you. To understand you. Zhang stared at the pages. For the first time, he realized someone else had mapped his work more thoroughly than he had. So, Mayu continued, I have an offer. Zhang raised his eyes. You stop playing in shadows. You come clean. Then, we make something official. A student subsidy system. Real, protected, tracked. But using what you built. Zhang frowned. You want the university to adopt it? No, Mayu said. I want you to adopt it, with the right people behind you. If you confess now, they will see the potential, not just the fault. It was a dangerous gamble. One confession could mean everything Zhang had built was deleted overnight. His name blacklisted. Scholarship revoked. But there was something else too. A chance. Zhang Wei stood before a panel of 5 university administrators. The room was cold, the lights harsh, and the carpet too clean to trust. He held no paper. No slides. Just a small flash drive with 2 files. One detailing every false transaction he had made, and the second, a complete framework for the student subsidy system. The dean leaned forward. Mr. Zhang, Do you understand what you are admitting to? I do, he said. You bypassed the canteen payment system. That qualifies as fraud.
Yes.
But I did it with a purpose. The room remained silent. Zhang continued. I believe that security is not only about preventing breaches. It is about discovering them before someone dangerous does. I found a flaw. I exploited it. Then I used it to feed 7 students who could not otherwise afford it. And now, I am offering a system that fixes the flaw and supports those who need it most. The dean exchanged glances with the others. One professor nodded slowly. Leave us, she said. Zhang walked out of the room, each step echoing louder than it should. He sat in the hallway, heart quiet but not still. 40 minutes later, the door opened. You are not expelled, the dean said. But this will stay on your record, with a footnote. Project pending. Then she smiled. You may begin testing your idea. Officially. Zhang was given access to a restricted university server. No full admin rights, just a sandbox, a place to build without fear of breaking anything vital. He called the system Projectine, meaning to guide. Its structure was simple. Students applied anonymously with proof of need. The system would generate custom QR codes that activated silent discounts during checkout. No one would know who received help, not even the staff. Zhang coded late into the night. He skipped meals. He forgot birthdays. He poured everything into that server, not just code, but care. Mayu helped test the first phase. They ran dummy scans, timed responses, measured server load. After 1 month, the system went live with 10 students. All volunteers. All part of the original test group. It worked. Every scan produced a silent transaction. The discount applied invisibly. No shame. No permission needed. Project In was not perfect, but it was working. Just when Zhang thought the system was safe, trouble returned. Not from within the university, but outside. A hacker group calling itself Familia reached out via anonymous email. They had discovered Project In's code repository. It was unlisted, but not invisible. Their message was clear. You built something beautiful, but if you do not open it, we will. Zhang panicked. An open-source version of In could be twisted, used by those without ethics, turned into a tool for exploitation instead of support. He sent back a reply. What do you want? The answer was chilling. Proof that your system cannot be broken. Let us try. Within 12 hours, Zhang's servers were under pressure. Not attacked directly, but scanned, probed, manipulated. He spent the night defending his own creation. Lines of code blurred as he rewrote protections in real time. But at 3:41 a.m., a hole appeared. A discount meant for a test account was triggered without authentication. They had breached him and left a single line of code behind. Fix it or we will. Zhang Wei did not sleep the next day. Instead, he met quietly with a professor of cybersecurity from the university's research lab. Together, they patched the vulnerability, and more than that, they added a trap. The next time Familia returned, the server sent a false version of Project In's backend structure. A digital illusion, filled with misleading pathways and honeypots. It worked. The group tried again 3 days later, and failed. Their entry triggered a silent trace. The university's team logged the IP, the gateway used, even the spoofed operating system profile. But Zhang did not press charges. Instead, he left a message embedded in the trap server. I improved. Thank you. Then he changed Project In's name in the code. He renamed it Liangguang, meaning measured light. Liangguang grew fast. Within 2 months, it supported over 100 students. An app was developed. Integration with the library snack bar followed. Then the gym. The project no longer belonged to Zhang alone. A team of volunteers joined: coders, designers, economists. Mayu handled coordination. The university granted them a yearly fund. Zhang stood in the background now. He rarely scanned his own codes anymore. He did not need to. Watching others thrive in silence was more satisfying than any scan. But one day, he received an envelope in his dormitory mailbox. No stamp, just handwriting. Inside, A printed page containing one sentence. Congratulations. You passed the real test. Signed, Familio. By the end of the semester, no one talked about the original breach. Zheng's file remained flagged, but with honor. He was offered a position in the university's IT Ethics Council. Meiyu received a commendation for her discretion and vision. And Liangguang was presented at a national innovation conference. Zhang attended the presentation, but he did not speak. He stood at the back, next to a window, hands in his pockets. He was no longer the boy with fake QR codes. He was the architect of an invisible system, one that ran quietly beneath the surface, like the best kind of code. Quiet, useful, untouchable, and in the city of steel and shadows, that was enough.